What's up, fiends? Welcome to Chat with the Bat. My name is Lucard, and today we have two very special guests, filmmakers, musicians, artists, John Adams and Toby Poser of the Adams family. Welcome, guys. How are y'all doing?
We're doing great. Thanks for inviting us.
Yeah, thanks, Al.
All right. Thanks so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. So for those that may not know, these guys are a family that makes movies together, along with their two talented daughters. They started out with dramas, and then they kind of morphed into doing horror. But I like to start at the beginning, if that's okay with you. So Toby, you actually studied acting at Tulane University.
I did.
Yes.
Do we have that connection that in some kind of way down there?
We do, because I'm actually based out of New Orleans.
Nice.
Right on.
Yes,
Well,
indeed.
give that Big Easy a big smoochie for me, please.
I sure will. So what was that like? What was your time at Tulane like, and in New Orleans? What was it like?
Oh man, it was beautiful. So I would have been there in late 80s up to 91, 87 to 91. And I just fell in love with that city. And part of it was the creepiness, since we're going to talk about horror, all those beautiful, cemeteries that would look like molars had been knocked out, all those beautiful things jutting up out of the earth. The mistiness, I loved walking around the quarter at night and looking at some red curtain flowing out of a window. That was part of the beauty. It was more than school. It was just where I was.
Yeah, very cool. So you also did a slew of plays and off-Broadway plays and whatnot, including here in New Orleans, I believe, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so and you also did a lot of Shakespeare too, I've noticed.
I did.
Yeah. So do you have a favorite play that you were a part of?
Of course, it's the Scottish play. If I were in the theater, you're not supposed to say the name, because the play Macbeth is steeped in so much superstition.
Right.
I actually have a story about that. I was I said that I was doing a play in New Orleans with Center Stage, it was called, and I said I was talking about the play before I went on that night, and people were like, no, you just screwed us. And sure enough, that night the gun did not go off in the play.
Nice.
But that's my favorite play. It's a ghost story. It's brutal and bloody, and I love it.
Yes, and it kind of foreshadows what you end up doing later.
You're right.
Kind of, sort of. All right, now John, in the '90s, you had a pretty successful modeling career going on. You posed for a bunch of different big names like Armani and Gucci and all these guys. So how did you get into that?
I was in band, so I went to college in Seattle, and I was in bands up there, and I wanted to be, I wanted to be a musician, and actually I needed money to buy an amp. I had moved to San Francisco, and I didn't have any money, and somebody suggested, oh, you should try being a model, and I thought, well, maybe I'll try being a model so I can buy this amp. Maybe I'd get a job and I could buy this amp, and
Nice.
So I went to an agency. And in 3 months, I was living, 3 months later, I was in Paris.
Wow.
And so it wasn't something that was planned. It was just kind of, life just kind of rolled that out in front of me. And I took that ride because it was just a great option for me. It allowed somebody like me to travel and to, it was very lucky that I got to do that.
Especially because you're so fugly.
Yep. Yeah, it was super. No, it was extremely lucky that somebody like me from the Catskills got to live in Paris and Milan and travel to Morocco, and I knew it was lucky, and I was thankful.
That's cool. So is that where your love of travel kind of was born?
No, I've always loved traveling. I've been traveling since I was a kid.
Oh, okay.
And that was just one of the perks. One of the reasons I said sure. Basically, an agent came through San Francisco, saw my picture, and said, "Hey, would you like to come to France?" And I was like, "Yeah, I love traveling. So yes, going to France sounds great." I had no idea that it was going to turn into a career.
That's neat, man. That's neat. All right, so Toby, you made your film debut back in '95 in the indie hit The Incredibly True Adventure of Two Girls in Love. Now, I was a teenager at the time, but I definitely remember the buzz around that movie. Did you guys feel that too?
You know what? We felt that something good was going on for sure, because I think that was kind of the beginning of that sort of a very small zeitgeist of LGBT films that were, and it had a really long run at a theater in New York, the Angelica. So we felt like something good was happening, but you could tell when we were making it. It just was golden, and I'm so happy that I'm part of that film.
Yeah, that's and it's a cool thing to put on the resume. He's like, yeah, I was in this like awesome indie movie.
Yeah.
You know, like yeah, just so cool, so cool. So so did you meet John first, or did you start your stint on Guiding Light?
I was in Guiding Light when I met John. I'd already been on it for
Okay.
several months, and John and I met at a rock show.
Was it just a couple months, or had you been on it a couple years?
No, I'd been on it for maybe 6 or 7 months.
Oh, okay. Wow.
All right. Well, speaking of that, I read somewhere that your character on Guiding Light was called, and this is a quote, a wicked Malibu madam.
That's right.
Yes. What can you tell us about that? About being a wicked Malibu madam?
I'm going to give you a line that I remember. I could never forget it, and that'll tell you everything you need to know. Here's a line from Amanda Spalding. You're going to find out firsthand just how an ex-Malibu madam strikes back when some tawdry little tart tries to take over her turf. So she just was sassy and wicked, but had a great heart. I mean, if you're going to be on a soap, you kind of want to play the bad girl. It was so much fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, that's awesome. That's a fantastic line. Love it. All right. So yes, like I said, you met at a concert. And so did you guys hit it off right away, or?
I definitely developed well, I saw her walk in the venue, and it was one of those moments where I thought, wow, that's the most beautiful woman ever. And I was with a friend of mine, and I said that to him, and he said, oh, I actually know who that is. You want me to introduce you? And I said, no, I don't. But he did, and I don't think it went very well. I think I'm not a very good, my social skills can be not super great. And then she came to a concert of mine, and then we kind of more had a good night. That was a good night.
Yeah, I just completely misread John that first night. And when I showed up at his show, I realized, oh, he's kind of quirky and wonderful, and that's what I like. And so by then, at that point, it was like, okay, let's hang out tomorrow too.
Yeah, and then we went to Coney Island, and that was a great date. And that's kind of why our movies, our movie company's called Wheel Productions, because Coney Island is where I asked her to marry me. We used to go on lots of dates there, and that was our first great date.
It was.
That's awesome, and I even have it as the background for
Yeah.
Yes.
for y'all. Yes, indeed, that's awesome, man. So yeah, so you proposed to under the Wonder Wheel, of course.
On the Wonder Wheel.
Yep. So definitely an apropos name for your company. And then Lulu came along shortly afterwards. And then at this time, Toby, were you still doing like guest spots on TV shows and voiceover work and stuff like that?
I was, when Lulu came around, I was off the soap. I started doing voiceovers and would do little roles on TV shows and but then I really started to kind of get into the voiceover world as well. Yeah.
That's really cool. How did you get into that? Like, was that a special thing that you had to do or anything, or?
It's funny, I first got into it because when I was doing theater, sometimes we would just cold call agents and say, hey, show up at our little dinky play in a basement. And one person I called said, you have a really good voice. Do you have an agent? Have you done like voiceovers? And I was like, So I actually, when I got an agent, a commercial agent, I was like, can you send me out for voiceovers? So that's how it actually started.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And then John, I believe you were working on a reality show.
Yeah,
For a
so
little while?
from my band, somebody knew me from the kind of punk scene and asked me if I wanted to try out for a reality show that was kind of a mix between Jackass and Mythbusters. And they needed a jackass, and I fit the bill, and I got the job, and I moved. We moved to Panga and filmed this show. The show didn't. The show only did 8 episodes. It didn't do any more than that, but it got us out to Los Angeles. It actually showed me the behind the scenes of how to make. That was a TV show, but I saw the technology. I talked to the sound people. I talked to the camera people, and I got really interested in the behind the scenes stuff. And that's basically was the setup for what was to come to pass, which was we were going to make our own movie. And you also asked about Toby's voiceover work. Toby had a great career in voiceover, and her acting career was kind of like people weren't giving her as many jobs because Hollywood makes a huge error in not appreciating aging women. And so her career in acting was kind of disappearing, but her career in voiceovers was going very well. So she was able to, buy us a great camera, buy us all the sound equipment, and allow us to live on the road for a year while we made our first movie. And that was all Toby's voiceover work that paid for that.
Wow.
Yeah, very, very lucky. And the nice thing about it was we could travel. We lived in an RV. We shot our first movie called Rumble Strips. We would be in the desert, New Mexico, and she'd get a call from her agent. Hey, we need you to do some recordings. And we would either drive to Santa Fe and hit a studio or a near studio, or we had our sound equipment. We'd cut it, mix, and send it over email. So it was pretty amazing how everything worked for us. Very, very lucky.
That is very cool. Wow. All right. So like you said, you were in a band, you were playing music. So what kind of music are you guys into?
I'll speak for Toby. Toby has an incredibly wide range of musical tastes, and that's one wonderful thing about Toby's. She'll be listening to old blues from the 40s, or she'll be listening to Toxicity or something brand new from Pigs, and it's fun. Toby's got a great library of music.
Then I'll talk for you. And then John too comes from a real punk background. So with John, we could really listen to anything from Black Flag to or the Minutemen or the Exploited, and that's really fun. The whole family loves that music. Truthfully, the whole family is into a lot of music, but we love rock and roll. We all love Black Sabbath. We all love Black Flag. But then we also love music that influences how we sing with our band, Hellbender. The girls will come at us with anything from Billie Eilish to obscure bands that John and I wouldn't really know about.
Courtney Barnett.
But that we've been turned on to, yeah.
But we also love late 80s, mid 80s rap, things like PE. But then like Zelda got really into Biggie Smalls, and so we listened to that for quite a while. It really just depends,
Yeah. Yeah, we're pretty broad.
Yeah, you guys sound a lot like me. Because I'll go from Pantera to Snoop Dogg to Toby Keith or something. I'm kind of all over the place too.
Yeah, old bluegrass. I'll listen to old bluegrass. I love old bluegrass. So.
Oh yeah, like Ricky Skaggs and stuff. Oh my god.
Yeah, exactly.
Insanity.
We listened to a lot of Johnny Cash's American.
Oh, the American recording.
Oh, yeah, the American recording.
We listened to all of those on our travels. You could every time we hear one of those albums, we can place ourselves in Big Bend, Texas, or in Lafayette Park in Louisiana, or in the Northwest. Yeah.
And we just watched the Beatles documentary, Get Back. Get Back? Was it Get Back?
Yeah.
Or what's it called? Was it called Get
Back?
Yeah. And that was really fun. So music is just wonderful.
Yeah. So John, you play guitar, right? Is there anything else you play, or is it mainly guitar?
I play all instruments, but I'm not a technical musician. I'm like I know how to put together the kind of music I want to put together,
Yeah.
but I can't. Someone couldn't hire me to put together music they wanted to put together. I'm not that kind of musician.
Yeah, yeah.
John,
I definitely feel that because I play bass, but I play for myself. I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because like when people are like, we'll be at a show or something. They'll be like, "Hey, John, you play guitar? Come up and jam with us." I'm like, "Yeah." The problem is like I don't jam. Like that's not what I do. Like you can't say, "Hey, let's play something in A7" and me know what the fuck is going on.
Right.
I don't. So I'm someone who needs to sit around and basically let it come.
Yeah.
John is super modest. He plays like all the instruments, and he writes so many songs, and he's just like, I really love how on fire his muse always is. He's like got muses coming out of every orifice. Sounds weird, but you know what I mean.
I totally get you. Yes, indeed. In fact, I was listening to Hellbender on Spotify just yesterday for a little while.
Oh, great.
Well,
So yeah. I was digging it. I was digging it.
Oh,
So all right. So then then Zelda came along, and like I said, then you guys kind of hit the road and started making movies. So how did Rumble Strips come about, and like what was your experience doing that together as a family?
Well, we had been living in Topanga Canyon in Los Angeles, and this was 2010. We just decided to take off for a year and see what it was like making a film instead of kind of waiting for the permission to make something cool like that. We were like, let's just do it. We got a camera. We had a friend show John how to use it. We got a couple like mics, and we just set out, and we literally were learning on the road. And it was kind of like the shoe fit, and we just had so much fun, and we knew we were going to do that again. And the girls were 6 and 11 at the time. And what's so cool is that we all were really starting from the same place. We all were like newbies. I mean, John and I had been in the world somewhat of like films and art, but to actually make one, to have it become your craft was such a gift to be able to do that with your kids.
Yeah. So did Lulu and Zelda like embrace this whole thing and were like, yeah, let's do this, and like, or did y'all have to drag them along?
No, they wanted that first movie. They wanted to be actresses, so we all kind of set out on the exact same dream together, and they were way into it. Plus, we were driving around the country, so it was super free. And another thing is we don't have like hard schedules, so it wasn't like we shot that movie for fun.
Right.
It wasn't for work. In fact, none of them have been for work. They've all been for fun.
Yeah, and you can tell that you guys have a blast making.
Oh, good.
Like,
yeah,
at least I can definitely tell that you guys are like totally into it, and like,
But also the deeper answer to that is we just always want our kids to be honest with themselves and honest with us. And so every movie that we do, we always ask our girls, hey, we want to do a movie about this. Who wants to be involved? And each of them answers what they want to do. And then that's the rules, and we stick by them. And that way everybody's happy and no one ever, there's no, like, we don't have to, basically it remains fun.
Yeah. Man. Okay. And do they keep you guys in check? Like, hey, this does not work. This works. This doesn't work. Yeah.
Yeah. They both are singular in what they're good at, right? Don't you think?
Yeah. And even from early on, we used to call them the bullshit monitors because they were really good at saying, that's so cheesy.
Yeah.
Let's do it this way.
And that's what's great about working as a family is not only are we like different genders but we're also different ages. We all have different opinions. We all have different influences. So it's great. The girls' influences on art and then on our art is wonderful, because especially even when they were 6, what they wanted to do was incredibly smart, things that we couldn't have thought of.
Oh, I was just about to ask that. I was like, I bet they brought, especially when they were little bitty, they brought a whole different viewpoint into the whole thing.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
artistically, cinematography wise, sound wise, like in every way, you know, we kept our ears open to their input because it was original.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. So okay, so after Rumble Strips, y'all did a few more dramatic type films like Knucklejack, The Shoot, and Halfway to Zen. But then in 2019, you guys switched gears a little bit, and then you jumped into the horror world with The Deeper You Dig, which was ultimately released by Arrow, by the way. There you go. Fantastic movie. Just watched it the other day.
Oh,
Thank you.
thanks. And Arrow rocks
yeah.
that blue.
They
Arrow,
did, man. This thing's loaded with stuff, man. Yeah. Yeah, it's a really fantastic movie. It's a moody. I kind of like to say it's like a psychological supernatural horror, I guess.
yeah.
About a mother searching for her missing daughter, and I won't give anything else away because if you haven't seen it, you go watch it. But what made you guys go towards horror?
I think. Well, did you?
You should talk about the
Well,
hatred.
yeah, actually, what happened was we had finished a movie called Halfway to Zen, and we were always tackling pretty heavy subjects, and we felt like we were getting a little heavy, and so Zelda said, "Hey, let's make a nasty horror movie where I kill a bunch of guys." And I was like, "Hey, that sounds like a great idea." And so it was me and Zelda made a movie, and Lulu, the three of us made a movie as an experiment to see what it was like to make horror, how hard it was to make horror, and whether it was fun. And it was very fun, and it was actually like kind of well received. And it was the first time.
It's called The Hatred.
Yeah, it's called The Hatred, and it was the first time we ever like got a bunch of press, and a bunch of great things just happened. And so that was one thing we noticed. We went to a festival called Horror Hound, and they treated us really great, and we met a lot of people. And we said to ourselves, like, you know, this is fun, and this is what we're doing movies for fun. And that whole experience was really fun. And then Toby was like, all right, let's make another one, and with all the four of us. And so we made The Deeper You Dig, and that was fun. And then Mitch Davis and Fantasia accepted the film festival. I accepted the film into that festival, Fantasia, and that changed our lives dramatically.
Yeah, so you guys kind of premiered all these at different film festivals and stuff. So what is that experience like? Like, what is like as an artist presenting their work at these festivals? Like, what is that like?
Sometimes we like to say we make films just to go to the festivals because the festival element is so much fun. Do you go to Overlook in New Orleans?
I have, yes.
We haven't been there yet, but I bet it's great. We gotta get there. But I mean, the festival.
Cool, yeah.
I bet it is because I mean it's New Orleans, and but yeah, the festivals are just a blast, and it's really cool because I think it's been a lot of who our girls are today are because of the amount of festivals they've spent their childhood going to, talking to adults. As like filmmakers, you know, themselves, being like around so many other artists and creative people, I think has been a huge. It's one of the things that I think has made them the young women they are today. It's like festivals. There's nothing better than going to a wicked cool festival.
Also, the horror community is the most open-minded, inviting, all-encompassing community out there, like out of anything, out of sports, out of music, it doesn't matter. Like, us in the horror community, what we love about it is it's so embracing of us all, and that's important to us. And so we love the horror community, and artistically it's also very open-minded. It allows people like us who want to do something a little different, like they're open to it. That doesn't mean that they're going to like it, but they are open to watching it, criticizing it, and talking about it. And I think that that's really important to us as artists.
And the thing I really like about horror movies As you can probably tell, my name is Lucard, so I cover a lot of horror movies. But the thing I really love about the horror community is that it's such a contrast between what they make and how they are as people, because they make this weird, crazy, grim, crazy stuff, but they're literally the nicest people on the planet.
Correct.
You're so right.
We agree. And what's great about horror that we always say is basically we're all allowed to talk about deep subjects that can be emotionally troubling or spiritually troubling or physically troubling, and we get to cover it in horror and blood, and then we're all talking about issues that you couldn't talk about out otherwise. Because it gets too hateful and too argumentative and things like that. But within the horror genre, we're a community that does talk about these things. It's great.
Yeah, definitely. So, John, I will ask you one question about The Deeper You Dig. How difficult was it to play that character? Because the character does some pretty terrible things in that movie.
Yeah, it was great because that, for me, the movie's about, each of us has a different reason that we wanted to make that movie. For me, it's it's a movie about guilt, and just that guilt just eats you alive. And so it was fun to play that because the guilt eats him until he's gone, and all that's left is the reason that he has that guilt. And so it was really fun because he pays. He does terribly stupid things. And I think it's kind of a reflection of, I had drug problems for a while, and luckily I didn't murder anybody or kill anybody. But when you're under the influence, it's dangerous. And that's, I think it's a lot of that movie's about the guilt of luckily I never did anything like that, but the guilt of like what could have happened.
Right. Well, if you haven't seen The Deeper You Dig, check it out. It's on, like I said, it's on the Blu-ray from Arrow, and it's also streaming on Tubi, which brings me to my next question. What do you guys think of the fast channels like Tubi and Plex and all these streaming services?
I mean, Tubi, you know what? I realized how cool Tubi was when the first time I went on it. I didn't have to like join anything, or pay for anything. And I could see the first movie I watched, and it was The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. I was like, oh my God, they have some cool classics on here.
Yes.
This is fucking cool. And so I say, yeah, hell yeah. It's really, really, Tubi's great. And I know we'll get to that, but they've been good to us as well.
Also, look, all these streamers, every one of them, from even Amazon Prime to Tubi to Shudder, without those, we don't exist. What happened is these have allowed us to compete with Universal Pictures, Paramount Pictures, Warner Brothers, all these things. Like now the Addams Family can make a film, and we're still on the same platforms that they're on. So it's really great. And we watch movies from other creators that are like us. Like those are movies that we really love. So we love these platforms. They've opened up a great space for us to watch art and for us to be allowed to make art.
Yeah, very cool. Well, I was introduced to you guys by a fellow filmmaker / musician named Chris Shern.
Oh yeah, Chris is great.
He initially told me about you guys. He was like, you got to check these guys out. And I think Hellbender had just come out. And I remember putting it on my list on Shudder. I'm like, all right, I'll watch that later. And then so that leads us to Hellbender. So you unleashed Hellbender in 2021. Basically, it's about a young witch discovering her powers. That's the easiest way to put it.
Yep.
And the film even got featured on The Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs. Yeah. So what can you tell us about that whole experience?
Oh, that was so much fun. We're so grateful that we were able to go on Last Drive-In and to play with the with the band and do one of their songs and they do one of ours. That was like a highlight that'll be hard to kind of top.
I can imagine. Was it a conscious effort to put Zelda kind of at the forefront of this movie, or was it like how did the movie come about, and how did everything work out?
She wanted to be she wanted to be the lead because she didn't really want to be the lead in the Deeper You Dig because she was playing a lot of soccer.
Mm.
And so, like I said in the beginning of our chat, like we always ask the girls, what do you want to do? Lulu at that time was in college, and Zelda was getting more interested in directing and cinematography and filmmaking. And so she was definitely like, I want to really help run the show on this, like fully. And she did an amazing job. In every aspect. Like her cinematography was amazing, her directing was amazing, her acting's phenomenal.
Yeah, she had really stepped up in that one as co-director, co-writer,
Yeah,
co-DP, and she's just so great to watch on screen.
yeah.
But you know, it's funny that film kind of came out of, we were shooting a music video for a Hellbender song called Black Sky. And while we were shooting it, it just kept like having these witchy themes. And then when John was editing it, he was coming across some cool discoveries upon editing it. And we realized, oh, let's, really explore what this concept of a Hellbender is and turn it into a feature.
Yep.
Neat. But so seriously, if you guys have not seen Hellbender, go watch it now. It's streaming on Shudder. And there is a DVD out as well for all you physical media folks. So there's no excuse. All right. So that leads us to your most current movie, Where the Devil Roams, which got picked up as a Tubi original movie. And to be 100% honest, this is probably the best Tubi original movie you're going to see.
Oh my God. Thank
Wow.
you.
Yeah. So I mean, out of all, I've watched a lot because I actually have a show called Tubi Terrors where I watch a Tubi movie and I review it. And you guys' movie is easily one of the best ones on there.
Thank you. That's
So
super.
what inspired Where the Devil Roams?
Well, Zelda had two things. Zelda wanted to do a photo shoot. During the pandemic, she's always been into photography, and she was doing a lot of self-portraiture. And she wanted to do something of her as both Bonnie and Clyde. We'd been watching Bonnie and Clyde, the movie. And John's dad has a 1931 Chevy. It lives about 30 yards from where we're sitting. And so Zelda was taking some pictures for that, and it was so cool. And we were like, oh, we should be doing something, from that era. And then Zelda was having nightmares about clowns, about families of clowns. And she thought, and so that kind of led into this idea about a family of sideshow performers with a murderous bent.
Neat. Oh man. So and then you can get that through Vinegar Syndrome and I think Yellow Veil Pictures. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the blue.
So I actually do have it on order. I haven't gotten it yet.
All right.
We'll look forward to what you think, because we were fortunate enough to do the behind the scenes video.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's the stuff I want to see. Yeah.
Oh, I'll be curious what you think.
Yes. All right. You're very cool. All right. So I have noticed some similar themes in your movies, like such as cars. There's always and kind of an emphasis on cars, hunting, even some carpentry. I know, John, you build a bunch of stuff, and of course the importance of music. So how do you like incorporating all these like real life aspects into these movies?
So cool. No one's ever pointed out what you just pointed out. So that's really great. I don't know what Toby's answer is going to be about all those things, but I can tell you that all those things are a major part of our life. My dad's always collected old cars. I have an old 68 Mustang, or we have an old 68 Mustang. So the cars have been a part of our life. They've always been sitting around. We have access to these great cars these old kind of beat up cars like the 31 Chevy. So that's why the cars are in there a lot. just because, like, for production value, they're there. My dad wants us to use them.
Yeah,
But
and they're awesome.
that's something about us. The way we make films is we look around, we look at what's around us, because this is what we can use, because we don't have the budget to create a production. So what we can only, our production is basically utilizing exactly where we are. And that brings us to like the hunting thing. But you can also push the hunting theme to basically, we're from the Catskill Mountains. We're country people. We're living in country communities where everybody shoots 2 deer, put them in the freezer, and that's what everybody eats all winter. And so it's like, it's just a way of life that we know. And so we film it. And it's authentic and it's real. And like, guns around here are, you know, the gun debate can be whatever it is, but you know, guns around here are used to shoot deer so that people can eat. So it's like, and that's how they're used in our movie. You know what I mean? They're those kind of things. So I guess my answer to you is all the things that you mentioned, including the music, which is we're in a band. And so why wouldn't we use our own music? Why wouldn't we celebrate? Like when we made Hellbender, it was like, let's just make you guys a band. You know, you are a band. And so we don't even have to invent anything or write a script. We just film you as a band. What do you think, Toby?
Yeah, you know, in theory, everything around us is our studio, you know? It's like that little place in Rome, Cinecittà. It's probably not that little. Like Beaverkill is our Cinecittà, you know? It'll be fun one day if someone wanted to, they could really like pick out the crossover of all our films. Like, you know, people can recognize, oh, that's the kitchen from that movie.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the angle. That's the other angle of the house from The Deeper You Dig. You know, yeah, like, why not make use of what you have? And also that stuff is very familiar. You know, that's something you don't have to kind of fake. This stuff is like in our bones. These woods are in our bones and in our blood. And we're very comfortable shooting in them.
And you mentioned carpentry. When you do art like we do, you better have a skill. So most of my life, I've been a carpenter that does art. Yeah. It wasn't until The Deeper You Dig that actually was shot in a house that I was rebuilding, which kind of ended my carpentry career because finally the art succeeded. But up until that point, I was a carpenter.
Yeah,
that played music and made movies, you know.
Yeah. So kind of bringing it back a little bit to the horror world, I guess. Do you find it cathartic to work on all these like grim stories?
I do. I kind of feel like we're really happy people. We're a happy family. We love life, and somehow horror is like this beautiful balance there. You know, it just feels very natural when you kind of are loving life. It feels healthy to go to the dark side in your art.
Also, it's a bit like punk rock. Like when I was a kid, and people would be like, "Why are you listening to that angry, hateful music?" And to me, I was like, "It's not angry and hateful. It's really uplifting and gives me great energy. It makes me incredibly happy." You know, maybe if I had stopped and analyzed what the lyrics were saying, I might have thought, "Oh, wow, that." But even the dark lyrics made me happy. That young teenage kid. So, I think also the inspiration of horror art, making bloody scenes, like figuring out ways to film violence, is artistic. It's really fun. Real violence, that's not fun. That's not fun at all.
Right.
But artistic violence is fun. It's art. It's like swinging around on a jungle gym.
It's strange, but it's entirely true, because like when I'm sitting here and, you know, Jason's going after him with the machete or whatever, I'm like, yeah, let's do it, you know. But if I saw that in real life, I freak out and be like, what the hell?
Yeah, why would you? What kind of psycho are you? But
right, exactly.
Art, it becomes multifaceted, it becomes metaphoric, and it becomes incredibly fun to figure out how to do.
Do you remember your first horror film?
I do. My first horror film was Poltergeist.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
that's
wow.
a good one.
Yes, scared the bejesus out of him.
Yeah,
I'll bet.
Because I was probably about her age. Well, actually, probably a little bit younger. And yeah, I saw that. I was afraid of clowns for years. because of the clown attacking that little boy in that movie.
It was
Forget
creepy. Yeah.
So creepy. So why do you think horror works so well for you guys?
I have an idea. What's your idea?
Go ahead, and I'll think of mine.
I think we like the honest part of horror. So basically we like the drama of each of our movies, and then we cover it in blood. And I think sometimes that's a little different than like the general architecture of some movies, like where the architecture is just you have a bad guy and it chases somebody. And I think that's what people like about our horror movies, is that we're talking about things that they feel also, but it's covered in horror, like Hellbender, or even like The Deep You Dig. It's a movie about guilt, and it's a movie about loss, all things that we all have. So we can all, like, even my character in The Deep You Dig, he does the most brutal, terrible thing. But we can all kind of relate. None of us have done that, but we've done things that we wish we hadn't done. So we can all put ourselves in his place. And then there's moments in The Deep You Dig where you actually feel for him a little bit,
right?
You know,
right.
And that, I think that's what people like about our movies. I think that, like, we're having a fun conversation with like-minded people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, also I think all of us, we all have a pretty dark sense of humor and a pretty like brazen sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
And horror is really like a place that gives us immense joy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we love sitting down while we're eating dinner. We can talk about something really gross and how we're going to cut off like grandma's head, you know, and it's just like funny and it's fun. It's kind of like reaching the top of the roller coaster, you know, and knowing, oh, it's going to be a great ride down. I mean, we all have that, all four of us, and Trey, who's our VFX guy, who's our 5th honorary family member, is like a walking encyclopedia of horror.
Yeah.
But I think just impulsively, intuitively, we all love it. And part of the joy of horror is beyond the psychology, which we can get into, is it just is fun to have your heart thump like that. I kind of feel bad for people who don't get into horror. I respect them, but I always feel a little bad for them.
But we love a specific kind of horror. Like, we love movies like The Innocents. Like, we love movies like The Golden Glove. We all love Megalomaniac. Like, a lot of the movies that we love, I think the general public would be like,
Sadness.
"Oh my God, Jesus, that's they're a little over the line." And to us, they're so fun.
So what's each of you guys' favorite part of making the movies? Like, is it directing, editing, coming up with it? What's your favorite thing?
I love writing. I mean, we don't always use a full script. We often just have a scene, like a template that we jump off from, if that. But I really do like writing. And that's something like I kind of aspire to do, you know, for the rest of my life. And I love acting. I mean, I come from acting, so I love acting. I love jumping into a character and figuring out what makes her tick.
Mm-hmm.
I love sitting out in the woods with my family. It's just great, whether we're filming or not. I love, like, we only shoot like on flat light. And so we do spend a lot of time sitting in the woods waiting for the blue sky to disappear and a cloud to roll in. Mm-hmm. And I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's why your cinematography is so awesome too. Because you actually sit there and wait for that shot. And
we wait for a lot of shots and sit there and talk to each other. Yeah. And then somebody will be like, "Oh my God, here it comes! Everybody get ready. Do you remember your lines?" Yeah, I remember my lines. Okay, quick. So I love that.
That is so awesome. And then Toby, I kind of look at you as the backbone to all of it, because like in all the movies in particular, like your character is always kind of the backbone of what's going on. So I appreciate you guys.
Oh, that's cool.
You are correct she is the backbone.
Well,
and attached to the backbone is attached to the brain. I might be like that dirty hands and the dirty feet.
You're the heart.
No, I think I'm the
Yeah,
dirty hands
'cause
and feet.
with the heart set. All right.
I think Zelda would be the heart. I think Lulu's like the arms and the legs, and I'm the feet and the hands.
There you go. Yeah, you're y'all the foundation. There you go.
Exactly.
All right. So so I like to end it by doing a couple of rapid fire questions, and all I want you to do is tell me the very first thing that pops in your head.
Okay.
Whether it's right or wrong, just tell me the first thing that pops in your head. Okay?
Whew. All right.
All right. Favorite film?
The Thing.
Let the right one in.
Excellent. Favorite director?
Coen Brothers.
Anna Lilian Rapport.
Oh, nice. Okay. Nice. Favorite album?
Bad Brains. Rock for Light.
Queens of the Stone Age, Songs for the Deaf.
Oh, very awesome. Nice. All right. And my final question: if you could have a profession that you've never tried but would like to try, what would it be?
Lighthouse sitter.
That's so romantic. I'm going to say National Geographic photographer.
There you go. All right. Now, what profession would you not want to partake in?
Oh, that's a good.
Politician.
A banker.
Banker. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on.
What about you?
Yeah.
What about me?
Yeah,
What about-
like let's run a
First,
couple
best album.
Yeah.
Best album. Oh God. Big Choice by Face to Face.
All right. Great. Best movie.
Best movie, Pulp Fiction.
Oh, nice. Best director.
Alfred Hitchcock.
Best actress.
Actress. Oh my God.
Fast. Let's go.
Naomi Watts.
All right.
All
Best actor.
Daniel Day-Lewis.
Nice. Okay. Most job that you want.
Oh God. Rockstar. I don't
Nice. Least job.
know. Sanitation.
But the
Yeah.
thing about sanitation, I think I'd be a great sanitation person because I love like crap. I love I would my truck would be full like at the end of the day, but when I got home, the truck would be half empty because I bring it all home. And Toby would be like, "Oh my God, we don't need that." And I'd be like, "Wait, I'm gonna hang it here. It's gonna look great."
I know we're all gonna die from something that falls on us,
Yeah.
but it looks good. Okay, last question for you.
Mm.
The most disgusting thing you've ever eaten in your life.
Oh goodness. I don't know the name of it, but we were at a friend's house, and we were teenagers at the time, and one of our friends, his grandmother had made this super spicy like sauce thing. It was some kind of Chinese dish, and he dared us all to try it, and we tried it, and I swear for the next 3 days my mouth was on fire. So
Nice.
I would say that whatever that was.
Whatever that was.
Was that the
Yeah.
only thing on fire?
that?
Sorry.
All right, well, you guys have been a blast. Please check out all of their movies. I'll have links below to whatever I can find. So definitely check them all out. Any parting words you'd like to give to the masses?
No, I want to thank you. Say thank you, Lucard.
Yeah, thank you and peace.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. Well, until next time, adios, Bella Lugosi. Or should I say, see you later, Hellbender.
Yes, we dig it.